Could call the meeting to order, please, and have everybody rise for the Lord's Prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. We salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo. Councilor Ramirez.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Donahue.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
Okay, we recognize Councilor Rita Mercier and several others to offer moments of silence.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in Dockin Chambers for Joni Boulay. She was the daughter of Raymond Daniels and happened to have been my next-door neighbor. Not only that, but we both held a membership at the East End Club Ladies Auxiliary, and she was a member of the Lowell Association for the Blind. She leaves 4 sons, Thomas, Scott, Timothy, Sean, 7 grandchildren, and may God rest her soul. And I'd like to offer a moment of silence in Dockin Chambers for Wilfred Chrisman, a World War II veteran, beloved husband of Lou Chrisman, whom he married for 55 years. He was educated in the Lowell school system. He was a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. He was a veteran of World War II, serving with General Patton's Armored Tank Division. He saw action in northern France, Rhineland, Ardennes, and Central Europe, where he was a sharpshooter and expert gunner. He was wounded in battle in April of '45 and received the Purple Heart. He was also awarded the Good Conduct Medal, a Victory Medal, European, African, Middle Eastern Theater Campaign Ribbon. He leaves behind his wife Lou, 3 sons, 5 daughters, 22 grandchildren, and 9 great-grandchildren. Joni Boulay and Wilfred Chrisman will be truly missed. May God rest their soul.
Thank you. Councilor Armin Mercier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I also want to include Robert LeMay Sr., older brother of former Mayor Armin LeMay. He was also a hero in the Second World War, and one of the things that he cherished the most while he was alive was this council honoring the LeMay brothers and having a corner of Shea and East Meadow Street dedicated in their memory. His brothers also, and he's a beloved husband of Rita. They were married for 62 years, died of a heart attack while walking the beach, something that he really enjoyed doing. He will also be missed not only by the LeMay family, but the people of Pawtuckaville, where he was born and brought up, and also by me. I'd like to also offer a moment of silence in his memory.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm also requesting a moment of silence with Dockin Chambers for Steve Ronan, a loving and dedicated husband, father. Mr. Ronan served 30 years at Lowell High School, first as an English teacher and later as the housemaster of D House. Also for Philip Pender, loving husband of Laurie, who is employed by the Lowell Health Department, devoted husband and father, brother of Lowell police officer David Pender. May they both rest in peace.
Okay, we could please rise in a moment of silence. May they rest in peace. Okay, after several starts and stops, we do have finally with us tonight the winners of the snowman making contest from the Winterfest. We have winners from, I believe, 3 schools represented. First place, the Sullivan School, second place, Stocklosa School, and third place, the Pine Arts School. I'd like to recognize Sue Smith from the school department, who's going to help with the presentation of the awards.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mayor Martin, City Council, City Manager Cox, other city officials, and the students, teachers, staff, parents, and other people from the city of Lowell. Thank you for this opportunity this evening. Seems like I've been here a lot lately, and it's a pleasure to be with kids because I don't get to do that very much in my regular job at the school department now. But if I come anymore, I'll probably have a chair. So I'm glad to be here tonight. It's always a privilege and a pleasure to work with everybody from the city to participate in the Winterfest. The kids had a great time. The teachers were very, very helpful. And what was nice, as was the case with the snowshoe competition, to see the students helping each other. If they ran out of snow, they would share the snow and the shovels and everything else, and they were really good to each other. So that was the best part of it for me. Sullivan School came in first. They had the largest number of pennies with the voting from the public. So I'd like to ask Mark Anastopoulos, from the teacher from the Sullivan School, to come up and introduce his team and present the medals.
Thank you. I'd like to thank, first of all, the City of Lowell for having this festival. It was a wonderful festival. From the first day of school, my students lobbied to be on this team. I can't tell you how often they're trying to get on this team from the beginning. And they did a great job. They worked as a team. And we decided to go with the theme of the Olympic spirit, and that's what we created with our sculpture. So, Ariana Rogers. Devin Patashall. Chris Pousland. Natalia Garcia. And Zach Hall. And I'll get the rest of them in school tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second place, which really is a distinction in that we select a panel of impartial people from the community and business area to judge for creative merit. And that award this year, it says second place, but it's really right up there too, is the Stocklosa School. And I would like Carol Gouvier to come up and present those medals, please.
Thank you for having us. I also like to introduce Linda Kamali. She was my woman in command. And at this time, we have 8 students that are here tonight that would like to receive their medals. So if we could have the Stocklosa snow team come on up. Michelle Mendez.
Jocelyn Patnod.
Tyler, what's your last name? Tyler Wren. And William Dom.
And the third award goes to the Pine Arts Magnet School for an honorable mention for their artistic merit, which I believe they had last year also. Is anybody from the Pine Arts here? I'm not sure if that was communicated to them. I'd ask your permission that if they wanted to come next week, if that would be okay. I'll
Sure.
check with the school. Thank you. I would also like to recognize here tonight the acting principal of the Stocklosa School, Mr. Robert Murphy, and the principal of the Sullivan School, Edie LeBrand. If they would please stand up. They're at the helm of this time of year with MCAS and the coordinated review going on, and they spend a lot of time rearranging people's schedules so the kids can participate. We appreciate their efforts, and thank you very much for having us tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councilors, ladies and gentlemen. I, too, just want to congratulate the winners as well as all the other participants. Really, the snowmaking part of the Winterfest is a very important part of it. And we've been very fortunate over the years to have such great cooperation with the school system. I want to thank Sue Smith for all her hard work. But it's great to see the kids out there enjoying the Winterfest, coming down during the weekend to vote with the pennies. And I think they like the part where they got out of school for that Friday and came down here and did that. I know that's what I would like. But I want to congratulate all of them and thank them. They play a real important part in this celebration. I want to thank all of them and all of the teachers and chaperones who helped out, especially Sue. Thank you very much.
And also, on behalf of the council, we'd like to also thank Ms. Smith for her efforts, Ms. LeBrand, Mr. Murphy, and all your staffs, and most importantly, all the students who helped. I know probably some of you in the 8th grade, but for those of you who aren't, we hope to have you back participating next year. Thanks for coming down tonight. Okay, next item, I believe, is Donna Honeywell. Is Donna here to come address the council about the Lowell Wish Project? If you just wait a moment until the students have a chance to leave the chamber, and you can tell us what the Lowell Wish Project is all about and what you're doing.
It's these brochures. I'll have a brochure. I didn't put any up there, but I'll... That's us. Okay. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Donna Honeywell. I am the founder of the Lowell Wish Project. I also have been a commissioner on the City of Lowell Hunger Homeless Commission for the last 3 years. The Lowell Wish Project, in fact, grew out of the Hunger Homeless Commission. So what we are is basically a goods bank. Just like you have food banks in the city, we are a goods bank. Through working with the Hunger Homeless Commission and volunteering with dozens and dozens of agencies, I found out that there was a huge need for all the agencies to get cribs and strollers and diapers and clothes and furniture and everything to their clients. So my solution, after studying this and working with the caseworkers for more than 2.5 years, was to come up with the Wish Project. We are now located off Plain Street in Foundry Industrial Park. We just recently, in January, 8 weeks ago, moved into a warehouse that's about 10,000 square feet. We currently help more than 78 social service agencies in the Merrimack Valley. That's more than 450 caseworkers are emailing me every day wishes for low-income clients. Most wishes are for baby goods, clothing, and for home goods, and all goods we give out are given to us for free and are given out for free at no charge to the agencies. The move in January allowed us to start the Wish Furniture Bank, which is something that the city has needed for quite some time. And I understand years ago there was a furniture bank, and there are certainly many agencies trying to do it on a small level, but we really needed a large furniture bank to be able to handle large hotel donations and handle the volume. In the last 8 weeks since we've moved, we've helped more than 1,500 clients. Our agency is only open 8 hours a week, and in 8 weeks we've helped 1,500 clients. More than 100 of those wishes were for babies, and we got more than $45,000 worth of goods out to clients, and that's at yard sale prices. We basically set up 1 apartment per hour in the last 8 weeks. That's pretty incredible, and I do this all as a volunteer. I receive no salary right now. We're all volunteer run. We help caseworkers, not clients directly, because we believe that the system is best served when you use the system, and the system works best when everyone works together. We work with government agencies, faith-based initiatives, and even private nonprofits. We just want to make sure people are getting services from somewhere, and then we'll help them. So I'm here today also to thank the City Council for 14 years ago founding the Hunger Homeless Commission. They're a quiet commission. I don't know if many of you here have worked with them, but they absolutely do wonders. And in many ways, they are the last safety net in the city. And it was through my work with them that came about this need and became so driven to start a new nonprofit to help these people. Each month, the directors of the food pantries and other social service agencies that are involved in crisis support meet here at City Hall to discuss the holes in the system. And we believe that communication is a big part of the solution. And every week, every month we see just tremendous solutions. The way fire support is handled in Lowell is absolutely a model for the nation. And a lot of that has to do with how the Hunger Homeless Commission gets 5 agencies to work together to support the same victims. We receive no funding from the city. The Hunger Homeless Commission receives no funding from the city either. They raise all their own money in October through Hunger Homeless Week. We help agencies find goods, and we help donors find homes for their goods. And that was the thing that I looked at this and said, you know, we've got about 100,000 people living in the city of Lowell. Not all of us are needy. I live here. I'm not needy. But many of us are. And I looked at the map and said, if you look at the 14 towns in Greater Lowell, many of these people are very affluent, have a lot of stuff they want to get rid of and can't figure out where to get rid of it. So I said, this is a natural solution. I want to say that Lowell is a very fantastic city. I've only lived here about 6 years. I lived in Boston before I lived here, and I grew up in Baltimore. But one thing that I've noticed in the statistics that's phenomenal is that Boston is the largest city in Massachusetts and has the largest hungry and homeless population. Lowell is the 4th largest city in Massachusetts, yet we have the 2nd largest hungry and homeless population, which means basically we've got twice the weight on us that Boston has. And yet in the city of Lowell, you very rarely see a panhandler. And that's something really to truly be proud of. I'm not saying there aren't street homeless and people living in tent cities, there are, but I am saying this is a phenomenal city that we're handling a tremendous weight. And I give a lot of the credit to the many agencies that we work with and how hard these caseworkers work. Good social services is not just good for the clients, it's not just good for overworked, underpaid caseworkers, but it's also good for business. The faster we get people out of shelters and sustainable in jobs and into apartments, the faster they become tax-paying citizens and clients. There are so many great things happening in Lowell. We would like to think that the Lowell Wish Project is one of the new initiatives and one of the good things happening here in the city. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Well, Councilor Donahue.
No, I just wanted to congratulate Donna on her good work. It might have been about a year ago once I got into a conversation with her where she told me the story how she was collecting these things at her home, and I think there was no room for her husband or herself anymore. So it's good news that you have a warehouse
We
now.
finally moved out of my garage.
Yeah. It prevented you from getting divorced probably because, but all of this is volunteer work, and it's really a tremendous service to the city that you do, and this is a tremendous idea, so congratulations.
Thank you. Our wish hours are when my children are in preschool. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, so that's...
Okay, thank you, and we wish you continued success. Councilor Rita Mercier?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for having Donna up here before the council. I thought it was a very good idea that my colleagues should experience what she's going through to help out the less fortunate. And I want to say that in this city, we always hear that the movers and shakers, they think are probably elected officials when they're not. They're people like Donna and people that work in the background to help the nonprofits, to help people in need. I want to thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being good Samaritans yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott?
Just briefly, Donna, did you indicate if people wanted to help? I know you have a website.
Sorry. Oh, hi, sorry.
Pardon my back.
There's my pen.
But if people wanted to get a hold of you, the website, or if they want to make donations, lowellwishproject.org.
Yes, and every week we send out an urgent needs wish list.
You may want to.
Sorry.
Just
Every
so
week we send out an
people at home
urgent
can
needs
hear
wish
it.
list. If you do one thing, just go out and join this. And we've had no spam so far. I've been sending these for more than 3 years, and this is how we got started. Every week, 90% of the wishes are now things we actually have. We're getting really good at stocking the warehouse and predicting what the goods are going to be, but there are always about 10 or 11 wishes each week. So we send out this urgent needs thing, and that is directly connecting Lowell's issues to a much larger suburban community, and frankly drawing a lot of them in here. They're physically coming in to donate the goods, and they're getting connected to agencies. The connections that have come out of that are phenomenal.
Is the need list on this website weekly?
I do, yes. I'm the webmaster too, and I'm a little slow sometimes updating it, but yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Caulfield.
Donna, just one question. First of all, we want to applaud you and the entire family for what you're doing. Do you need a storage area or some sort of a...
God, yes, the rent is killing us.
a
That's
warehouse?
the only thing
Maybe,
that we're struggling with.
Hopefully, the manager of the city can reach out to some of our friends in the city and see if we can come up with a storage area for you.
That would be phenomenal. You know, we have donors, but the rent is killing us. We're paying $20,000 a year for 3,000 square feet. And even though the area we're in is 13,000 square feet, we don't rent the other 10,000. And pretty much every month, the landlord comes to us and says, well, we're going to put up a wall and rent out the rest of it, which means losing our furniture bank.
Let's see if we can do something to help you.
That's our major challenge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Next item is approval of the minutes from the March 21st meeting. Motion to approve the minutes by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Ramirez. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Okay, the first, we can go right into the public hearings, I believe. The first item in the public hearings is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances for the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, as amended with respect to Chapter 10 thereof entitled Health and Sanitation with respect to the noise ordinance. First of all, I think every councilor got a copy. We had substituted language for this ordinance, so I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing under the ordinance as amended.
So move.
So moved by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion is adopted. So we will open the public hearing now on the noise ordinance. Anybody wishing to speak in favor? In favor? Just identify your name for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, members of the City Council, Captain Thomas Kennedy. On behalf of the Lowell Police Department, I'm here to speak in favor of the proposed amendment to the noise ordinance. As most of you know, the outdoor seating is something that's fairly new to the City of Lowell. The outdoor seating or the outdoor cafe concept has spawned a secondary issue, which is outdoor entertainment. Last summer, the police department had a great deal of difficulty controlling some of the noise that was coming from the outdoor entertainment. So a combination of the police department, the downtown coordinator, and the city solicitor, we've come up with this amendment, which will hopefully allow us to effectively control the noise that's coming out of some of these outdoor entertainment venues. So would respectfully request that the council take that into consideration and approve the motion that's before it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor?
Mr. Mayor, councilors, my name is Kathleen Marson. I live at 200 Market Street. I'm here actually on behalf of the Downtown Neighborhood Association, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone from the city actually who met with us last fall, along with several of the downtown bars and restaurants to talk about noise issues. As you know, there's hundreds of elderly residents that live downtown. And with the development that's gone on in the last 5 years, we unfortunately tend to forget that they're there because they're a nice, quiet group of people and they don't really bother anybody. But we want to make sure that we respect their quality of life as well. However, we do also want to continue to see growth in downtown. We want more businesses. We want more young families to live there. Therefore, the consensus of the meeting that we had in the fall was a clearly defined noise ordinance that would hopefully achieve everyone's expectations of quality of life and the ability to grow more businesses. So we'd like to encourage you to vote in favor of the amendment to the ordinance. Hopefully with one clarification, the ordinance states, I might need my glasses for this, the ordinance states that the licensing board will issue special permits for outdoor amplified music, but it doesn't specify whether or not that's one event or a series of events. So would a downtown entertainment venue need only one permit to apply for, have a band outside, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Sunday night from May to October, or would each of those need a permit individually?
We could ask the solicitor to address that question.
Sure. The special permits are going to be the exception rather than the norm. The special permits will apply only to those events that will involve amplification of music or any type of sound. Some of the special permits granted probably it may involve LeLacheur Ballpark, but most likely it would be a single event such as the Folk Festival.
Okay. That's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, City Council members, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak in favor. I am Stephen Green. I reside at 181 Market Street. I am a relatively new resident in Lowell, one of the people coming into the downtown, and I'm also an active member of the Lowell Downtown Neighborhood Association, and speaking on behalf of the general members. We're very much in support of this piece of legislation, this change in the ordinance, because it's an important quality of life issue for the downtown. And I think it's something that because of the number of people who are moving downtown, because of the people who haven't really spoken up about the noise problems that they've dealt with. But one of the very first meetings that the kickoff in the police department was very instrumental in getting the Downtown Neighborhood Association together. In June of last year, noise was one of the first issues brought up as being a concern, and it's been almost a consistent issue. So we see this ordinance as a way of bringing some control on the amplification noise problem, which has occurred at several of the venues downtown. So we urge your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Is anyone else wishing to speak in favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? That portion of the public hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Motion to approve the ordinance by Councilor Rita Mercier, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Roll call, please.
Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia,
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia,
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo, Councilor Ramirez.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick,
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Okay. 8 yeas, the ordinance is approved. The next public hearing is a...
I'm sorry.
These are petitions. Okay, the next public hearing is a petition for a pole location and 15 feet of conduit on Watson Street, one by Verizon, one by National Grid. Is there anybody here wishing to speak in favor of these items? Nobody here? Councilor Donahue?
Motion to recess.
Move to recess the hearing for Verizon until next week and notify.
Okay. Motion to recess these two matters for 1 week by Councilor Donahue, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion is adopted. Okay. Under the city manager's portion of the agenda, we have 2 requests for out-of-state travel. Any objection to considering these items together? One is a request, both I think are requests from the police department. Dear Mayor and Councilors, attaches a request from Ed Davis, Superintendent, to send 1 employee from the Lowell Police Department to the National Conference for the FBI National Academy held in Toronto, Canada, July 15th to July 19th. Funds for this request come from the Police Department training account. And the second is to send an employee of the police department and 2 victim witness advocates to the Investigating and Prosecuting Intimate Partner Stalking Conference. This is held in Atlanta, Georgia, March 28th to March 31st. Funds for this come from the Office on Violence Against Women grant. If any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, John F. Cox, City Manager. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Donahue. Roll call.
Mayor Martin,
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia,
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo, Councilor Ramirez.
Here. Yes.
Councilor Broderick,
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Donahue.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Next item are reappointments to the Lowell Commission on Disability. Dear Mayor and members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as City Manager by Chapter 75 of the Acts of 1983, Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 8J, and the Code of the City of Lowell, Section 2-123, I am reappointing the following persons to the Lowell Commission on Disability. Mr. Bruce Lucier, 50 Plummer Ave, Lowell, Mass. 01852, reappointed or appointed to a 3-year term, which term will expire March 28, 2009, or until such time thereafter as a successor is appointed and qualified. And Ms. Catherine M. Maynard of 35 Gate Street, Lowell, Mass., appointed to a 3-year term, which term will expire March 28, 2009, or until such time thereafter as a successor is appointed and qualified. Under the above referenced ordinance, confirmation by the City Council is required and is hereby requested. What is the wish of the council? Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I want to personally thank Manager Cox for bringing Bruce Lucia and Catherine Maynard forward for confirmation for my colleagues. These 2 people are extremely dedicated. Bruce Lucia is an invalid himself who is confined to a wheelchair, makes every single meeting, whether it's snowing, raining, or sleet. And Catherine Maynard is extremely dedicated as well, Mr. Cox. And I just want to thank you personally for bringing them forward. They're dedicated individuals helping people who are not as fortunate as they are. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo? Councilor Ramirez?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Okay, the next item is reappointments to the Planning Board. Dear Mayor and members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority specified in Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81A, it is with pleasure that I am reappointing the following to the Planning Board. Mr. Thomas Lenahan, 88 Raven Road, Lowell, Mass. Since the term of Thomas Lenahan on the Planning Board expired in the year 2003, the new 5-year appointment date is to September 1, 2008. And Mr. Richard Lockhart of 91 Beacon Street, Lowell, Mass. Since the term of Mr. Lockhart on the Planning Board expired in the year 2004, the new 5-year expiration date is September 1st, 2009. Confirmation by the City Council is required for these appointments and is hereby requested. Councilor Donahue.
Move approval.
Motion approved by Councilor Donahue, second by Councilor Ramirez. Roll call.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo? Councilor Ramirez?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Okay, the next item is a communication concerning the resignation of George Zaharoulis. This is a letter from the city manager to Mr. Zaharoulis. This letter acknowledges receipt of your letter dated March 21, 2006, in which you resigned from the planning board. Your resignation is accepted. I am filing your resignation and this acceptance thereof with the city clerk as required by law and following the copies as a communication to the city council. The city of Lowell appreciates your years of service, and as a member of the planning board, on its behalf, I extend thanks. Very truly yours, John F. Cox, City Manager. There is attached the letter of resignation by Mr. Zaharoulis. Is there a motion to accept and
Motion
place
to
on
accept the
file by
commun-
Rita Mercier, seconded by Councilor Broderick? I don't believe this requires a roll call. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? The motion's adopted. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager, if you could send a thank you to Mr. Zaharoulis for the 35-plus years of dedicated service to the city of Lowell with his expert knowledge. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, Councilor, rest assured that I have expressed my personal and professional thanks to Mr. Zaharoulis, and I would be happy to send a further letter out on behalf of the council.
Thank you.
Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also would like to congratulate George on his retirement, not only from the planning board, but also from the university. And I had the pleasure of serving with him for almost 9 years on the planning board, and I have to say he was probably the hardest working member of any board in the city, and he was a great asset, and he will be missed by me and most of the city, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Judge Zaharoulis, the great family man, the pillar of his church, worked tirelessly for 35 years on the planning board. I wish him well in his retirement.
Thank you. Next item is a reappointments to the Conservation Commission. Dear Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as City Manager under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 8C, it is with pleasure I am reappointing to the Conservation Commission the following persons to new 3-year terms expiring March 28, 2009, James Armstrong, 85 Florence Road, Lowell, and Louisa Varnum, 55 Varnum Terrace, Lowell. Since under the above referenced statute, confirmation by the City Council is not required for these appointments, this letter is notification of such appointments. I was happy to answer any questions. Very truly yours, John F. Cox, City Manager. Any questions? Councilor Donahue.
No, just motion to accept the communication.
Second.
Okay, motion to accept the communication placed on file by Councilor Donahue, seconded by Councilor Armin Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion's adopted. Next, we have the quarterly traffic ordinance, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to Chapter 13 thereof entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic. There's a motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Donahue, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion to waive the full reading is adopted. This matter is referred, I believe, to a public hearing for April 18th. Motion to so refer by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The matter is referred to a public hearing on April 18th. The next item is an ordinance amending various sections of the zoning code, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to Appendix A thereof, entitled Lowell Zoning Ordinance, by amending various sections. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Armin Mercier, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion to waive the full reading is adopted. This matter also is to be referred to a public hearing on April 18th. So moved by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The matter is referred to a public hearing on April 18th. Okay. Okay, we do have, next is subcommittee reports. I don't know if you want to report on that matter, Councilor Broderick, but if you
yes,
do, you're up.
The zoning subcommittee met briefly today to bring forward a recommendation to vote on what we just voted on, to recommend sending it to a public hearing. That was essentially to make changes to the TTF. There are 8 changes that are going to be implemented. We're going to increase the minimum required lot area per dwelling unit in the TTF and TMF zoning districts from 2,500 to 4,000 square feet. Double the minimum required usable open space per dwelling unit in the TTF and TMF zoning districts. Redefine the parking requirements for most two-family and multifamily residential projects to require the greater of 2 spaces per dwelling unit or 0.75 spaces per bedroom. Institute a special permit process in cases where public off-street parking areas are used to meet parking requirements for residential projects in the UMU, UMF, TMU, institutional, and NB zoning districts. Establish special criteria for consideration by both the Planning Board and the ZBA in reviewing special use permit applications. Define and regulate narcotic detoxification and maintenance facilities. Establish a new special permit requirement for projects which create 2 or more dwelling units. That's up from what used to be 4, or what is currently 4 additional new dwelling units on sites with an existing building, and subject these projects to site plan review by the Planning Board. In this, also technical clarifications made in sections 5.1.71 and 5.6.61. These were the recommendations that were brought forward last week in the form of an ordinance that we voted on. The other issues we took up at the zoning subcommittee were the placement of a sign notice, giving notice for any new construction on a property, and Councilor Elliott made a motion to recommend sending it to a public vote upon final approval from the law department. There was a final check on enforcement, what we're going to have for enforcement in the ordinance relative to a per-day fine or some other enforcement, and that should be ready in the next week or so to be brought forward to vote to send it to a public hearing. And we also spoke about a grandfathering, a vote to grandfather the existing approved projects that would be impacted by the vote or by the publication for the public hearing. And it was basically identified as one potential, and it's a good project, and I think we resolved the fact that he will be okay with the vote we're taking, and won't have to start over, which some of us didn't feel was necessarily fair. But it is a good plan, a good project, and I think we resolved that issue. So the city solicitor, I believe, is going to continue to look into the grandfathering issue, but there was basically what we thought 5 or 6 or 7 potentials was really identified as one, and that should be taken care of. So I think we can forego the idea of voting on a grandfathering clause for prior approved projects. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Just so council's clear, the motion to refer to a public hearing was a joint public hearing with the planning board. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And well, I just want to clarify something that was written in the newspaper last week, and just my position on some of these issues. Last week I voted against the motion just to increase the width size of the TMF and the TMU, and I just need to clarify that. That's probably how it came off. My position was there were still some other multifamily zones that are still not going to meet the standard. They only require 1,000 square feet per unit, and the recommendation was for 2,000. So I still think we need to meet that standard. I'm not opposed to this. In fact, I have advocated since day one, particularly the 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit is an absolute requirement. So the chairman went through recommendations appropriately. So I am in full favor of increasing the square footage of any particular lot. My concern was just that we still have some zones that need to be addressed, particularly in the urban district, because the requirements now are only 1,000 square feet, and I think we need to at least double them. So I'm sure the subcommittee is going to look at that further. And I just had reservations about the grandfather clause. Councilor Broderick summed it up pretty well. There were 5 or 6 projects that have been approved by ZBA that really are not going to be in conflict, are not going to raise issues or be in conflict with the changes that we're making. I just wanted to make sure that that was the case. That one project that's sort of caught in the middle, the difference is, I think he said an inch and 3/4, something like that. So I just wanted to just clarify that I am in full support of these zoning changes. We need them, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you. One last thing. I believe this is going to be set for April 18th hearing, and that the manager through DPD is going to have a presentation on the new, this is what we call Phase 1, and also what Phase 2 will be in terms of some of the more design review changes that we can use to hopefully bring, is what we're all looking for, is some better development. And that I think is scheduled for the night of the public hearing, a quick presentation. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was just one issue that the zoning subcommittee did discuss, and it's regarding, it came up as a result of the signs, the sign ordinance, the posting of a building permit sign. As it relates to political signs, right now there are what seems to be no regulations in place, but the law department is going to come back with recommendations. There once was regulations in place, but Council Broderick indicated, or Planning Development indicated that the Supreme Court, or maybe the solicitor can explain it a little bit better, but the SJC ruled that it's not constitutional. My opinion was that every other community in the Commonwealth has some regulations on the book that govern the size, and my concern is only that the time frame that they're allowed to be put up, and then to be, make sure that they're taken down within a certain time frame. Otherwise, the city's full of political signs, and apparently there's a little bit of a conflict there. But I think we need to bring something forward, because right now people are allowed to put up signs at any time. Is that correct, Madam Solicitor? Because there's nothing in the zoning code to regulate that.
Right. There are, Councilor, some regulations with respect to political signs as well as they apply to other signs. That's right. The problem with the political signs is that because we can't regulate other temporary signs, such as a house that's for sale, real estate signs, they could be up for lengthy periods of time, the courts deemed it to be problematic to then regulate just political signs, because you'd be regulating them based on the content of the sign. That was the problem. What we can do is we're happy to go and take a look at that, see where we are with it, and if there are any further recommendations we can make, any further regulations that can be promoted that are well within the law, we will get back to you on those, and also sort of update you as to what sort of changes took place and why, and where we are with those.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to accept the subcommittee report as a report of progress by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion is adopted. Other subcommittee reports. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Public Safety Subcommittee met this evening. This was to take up further discussion of motions that had been previously referred to the subcommittee. We had met with the police department on at least one prior occasion. As a result of that, there were requests made, motions made for further reports concerning, one was a motion regarding the staffing levels of the Lowell Police Department. Another had to do with a report and update on the gang issue, and in particular downtown coverage and UTEC. And the third, anyway, I don't think we even got to the third tonight, but we didn't. So this is a report of progress. We were provided a few weeks back in our packet a report that had been requested from the of the council. I believe it was Councilor Elliott's motion regarding the staffing levels. We were, and I think everybody had the report in the late February packet time frame. In essence, one of the issues that the subcommittee asked to be informed on had to do with the current staffing levels of the police department. We were provided with information that there are 240 with retirements and so forth of officers on the police department. From that figure, however, one has to subtract a number of officers as far as actively on duty, 24 that are currently out on injury under Section 111F, which the council and the law department manager have been addressing. There are another 3 or 4 that are out on administrative leave. There's 3 or 4 that are out on personal leave, and so the actual numbers drop significantly from that 240. Other information that we asked were how many were actively, how many patrol officers are on the street, and those numbers were given to us. In essence, one of the requests made tonight is for a further information, including a motion made by Councilor Elliott for a spreadsheet from the police department detailing exactly what we have for staffing, who's out, when they're expected back, and so that the council can get a clear read on how many officers we realistically can expect to have in the near future. There's always going to be injuries, but we have to get a clearer read on what we have for police coverage out there on the street on the day-to-day basis. The purpose, obviously, is, in order to provide adequate police protection throughout the city, not just at key times, but for a number of issues that have come before the council, including coverage in the downtown, including gang issues, and including neighborhood issues. And as I raised in my particular neighborhood, the rise in property crimes and cars being stolen and broken into and so forth, that has risen dramatically in the past 3 or 4 months. So these are all issues that the police department is aware of, they're working on, and so we've asked for and we'll receive that spreadsheet hopefully for the next meeting, which is next Tuesday. Another request or motion that was made had to do with developing a list or obtaining a list from civil service, just by way of information. Let me explain that. In order to, if the city were to bring police up to, the numbers up to the full complement or staffing, that would require hiring an additional 20 officers. This is not just to reach what levels we should be at, but also to fill what are expected retirements and so forth. That would come with a price tag of somewhere in the vicinity of $1 million when all is said and done, factoring in salaries, factoring in health costs and so forth. By no means is the city awash with cash or able to say or make a commitment of that nature or of any number at this present time. So I want to stress that. But a request was made, and the manager was at the subcommittee, that the process be initiated. In other words, with no commitment financially, that we do what we did last year, and that is request a list from civil service so that background checks can be started by the police department. This can take up to 2 months or more to complete that background investigation, so that if and when the city were in a position to make a decision as to hiring more police officers, that work would have been done. The mere requesting of a list and doing an investigation and doing the background interviews and checks does not commit to a job offer or a commitment by the council, but it does put us in a better position to be ready to move with a hiring in the event that the council, the manager, and there's a decision made and we're better informed as to our financial request. So that was by way of a motion and something that everybody seemed to be in agreement with at the subcommittee. We also had a discussion about repairs needed to the 9/11 room, and we requested a report on that, and we'll receive that. It's an issue that the manager has been working on with the police department, something that is being looked at, needs to be dealt with. Again, as with all these problems, they come with a price tag, and one has to locate the monies to address them. That's about as far as we got tonight at the subcommittee. There were other issues referred to us that we were to receive a report on. That had to do with an update on, in terms of the gang issues, implementation, and of the reports that we had received and recommendations, and also an update as to what changes or what's happening in the downtown. We had complaints previously in terms of downtown and what type of issues have been addressed, and a report vis-a-vis youth and UTEC and so forth. Since we weren't able to get through all of these motions tonight, there was a motion to recess. We're going to reconvene next Tuesday at 5:30 to take up those matters, the reports that we've requested in addition, as well as those items that we didn't get to tonight. So I don't know if my colleagues want to add anything to that, but that's just a report of progress in terms of the issues that the subcommittee's been taking up over the past couple of months.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Donahue really summed it up well. I just wanted to mention one issue, and it was a report that we received last week, and it relates to staffing levels, because as we start out at 260 and the chief went through the breakdown of how many officers we really do have, because I've heard concerns from people in the neighborhoods. We hear 260 police officers, but where are they? A significant number of those are on 111F and workers' comp, and the manager brought in a transfer, and we've hired a professional doctor to get the officers the right help and to get them back in the force. And as of February, the number of officers that were out were 29, public safety officers, some firefighters, went from 29 to 24, and this report indicates that by May, that number should be down to 10. So when we were discussing staffing levels, this was a big chunk of the number of officers that have brought down our staffing levels to levels that we don't want to be at. So Chief also explained there are some other individuals on personal leave that are coming back, administrative leaves that he's resolving. So without even hiring additional police officers, that number is going to go up significantly, and we should see more officers in patrol cars and on the beat, so to speak. But in addition to that, there's still going to be retirements. There's still going to be vacancies between now and by the time we get a list of civil service, and that's why I supported the motion to go out. We don't know how much it's going to cost, but we do know we're going to have vacancies, and without increasing our costs, we're still going to have open positions, and we need to start the process now. So that's why I supported the motion to at least start the process. And public safety really is a concern. It's an issue, and we see crimes increasing, and the council will have to make some decisions whether we want to fund certain positions or police officers, and I think we need to make public safety a priority. But in the meantime, we're still getting our numbers up from other areas and just sort of redeploying the police force. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? A motion to accept the subcommittee report as a report of progress by Councilor Ramirez, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion's adopted. Any additional subcommittee reports? Councilor Rita Mercier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a subcommittee report, but I did make a motion quite some time ago, and it's just a reminder to my colleagues and to the city clerk and the office at the city clerk's office that when we have a meeting notice, when it says Public Safety or Parks and Recreation or Economic Development Subcommittee, it should tell you what's going to be discussed at that meeting, just so that I would know. For example, I'm not on the Public Safety Subcommittee, but if they were talking about UTEC and a motion was referred there, then I would have liked to have known that. So it's just a reminder for everyone that you just give a list of what you're going to be discussing there. Why are you holding this particular subcommittee meeting? For the purpose of talking about staffing levels in the police department or UTEC or whatever. It's just a point of information, so we'll have an idea of what's going to be discussed. And that's just a reminder so that we all know. Thank you.
Okay, and it shouldn't be that difficult to do. Under the council rules, the
No, it
matters
isn't.
referred to the subcommittee are supposed to be referred by the council, so.
And if it's referred today, I don't remember next week what was referred there.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Caulfield.
Councilor Martin, there's a very important subcommittee meeting tomorrow evening in the council chambers with the Neighborhood Traffic Subcommittee. It's a joint session with the School Committee. Regina Paticani, Connie Martin, and Jackie Doherty. My colleagues, Councilor Rita Mercier and Councilor Kevin Broderick, serve on the council subcommittee. And the discussion will be the installation of sidewalks at the Bailey School, the Daly School. It's very, very expensive, but we're going to discuss it. And hopefully we'll have Ed Walsh and an engineer, T.J. McCarthy, will be here, and it will be televised, 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further subcommittee reports? Okay, next item, under petitions, we have one claim. Motion to refer to the Law Department by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Armin Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That matter is referred to the Law Department. Under the motions, first motion is by Councilor Ramirez. City Council requests the city manager have the city solicitor provide the city council with specific section of Mass General Laws, the planning charter, and/or any city ordinance which provides the city manager with unilateral authority to enter into settlement agreements and to appropriate funds for those agreements without approval of the city council regarding the Stocklosa school payment of $290,000. Seconded by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Ramirez.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. This motion is a follow-up to the ongoing discussions relevant to the construction of the Stocklosa School and the questionable payment of the $290,000. The main focus of the discussion has been the payment of the $290,000 to Jackson Construction, and I expect we'll find that out soon. The basis of my question is really, as a new counselor, unfamiliar with the executive powers under Plan A, I was hoping that I could just get that information relevant to the authority to enter into these agreements and whether there is authority unilaterally without council approval to enter into these agreements and then appropriate the money and pay them.
Okay, thank you. City Solicitor, would you like to address that, or you want to follow up with a written report? Or
Right. The law department will put together a legal opinion on that. There is not a particular section. It's going to involve a legal opinion, but it's basically, excuse me, the executive authority of the managers, the chief executive officer of the city, is what clearly authorizes him to deal with matters such as settlements of cases.
So will you provide me with that legal document, that
Correct.
legal opinion?
Right.
Mr. Mayor, I just had one last question.
okay, Councilor Ramirez. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, I was looking at the executed release that you handed us some time ago, and it is dated May 27th, '05, and my understanding is the council did not find out about the payment of the $290 until October, and I'm wondering why you didn't feel it important enough to inform the council of that payment.
Mr. Manager.
I never said it wasn't important enough, Council. It just was not, we did not notify the council. But that was that's an oversight on my part. Mayor Cooper, I did not think it was not important, clearly. It's something that we did in concert with the law department, something we did in direct, and I felt a direct directive from the city council to get the school built. That's what we did.
Mr. Manager, if I may, so the summer and the fall went by, and you never had the opportunity to inform the council you entered into this agreement?
I'm sorry?
The summer and the fall went by, and my understanding is the Stocklosa Subcommittee met frequently, and you never had the opportunity to inform them?
Did I say I didn't have the opportunity to inform them? I didn't say I didn't have the opportunity. Clearly, I had the opportunity.
Well, why
I could
didn't you?
inform the council anytime I wanted to, because I felt that it wasn't important to inform the council at that point. We had appropriated the $1 million. I don't know how many times I can tell this, but it happens to be the truth. We went to the subcommittee. The subcommittee appropriated. The council appropriated another $1 million for the completion of Stocklosa School. My directive from the council was, and you weren't on the council at that time, was to get the school built. That's what we did. So that's exactly what it did. It was no more complicated than that. It's no more sinister than that. If I felt that notifying the city council would have avoided this bit that we're going through now, I certainly would have done it 100 times over, Councilor. It was nothing to hide. It's public money. It was a directive from the city council, and that's what happened. Very, very simple, very, very clean, very, very innocent. That's exactly what happened. And I understand you weren't around then, but that's what happened.
Mr. Manager, I'm asking these questions because I wasn't around then.
And I'm answering them.
But as one of your bosses, I'm here to tell you that that excuse is unacceptable.
Well, that's unfortunate for you, Council, but that's what happened.
Okay, well, in the future, do you think you could begin to communicate those kinds of matters? Because I feel that
Council,
they're very important.
I've been a city manager for almost 6 years now. I have had no real issues with any of the councilors who've been here for the 6 years as far as my communication skills. If you feel I have a problem with that, Councilor, I would suggest that maybe that's on your end. I've communicated very, very well with this council, with past councilors, and if that's your opinion, then you're certainly entitled to it as one of my bosses, as I'm well aware you are.
Well, I appreciate that, and I guess what I'm telling you is that in the future, I want you to tell me about those types of agreements, because I feel that they're that important. $290,000 is a lot of money, and perhaps if we had known, or the council had known back then, you're right, we wouldn't have spent all this time on it. But I think that if 6 months go by, and to this date there's been no justification for that payment, that it's not unreasonable to be suspect.
That can be your determination, Council, and you're certainly entitled to it, that there's been no justification. But let me tell you, Council, when we signed that settlement agreement, there was no 3 classrooms there. The classrooms were gone. We were told by this council, the full council, they appropriated the money, not you, the council that was here at the time, that was aware of the whole situation up until that point, finished the job. That's what we did. We had the money was appropriated. If you want to go back and look in the newspapers at that time, which maybe you'll get a chance to do at some point, you will see that I said in the newspapers at that time, I thought to put the 3 classrooms back was going to cost around $400,000. I said that publicly. I said it at the subcommittee meeting. I believe I said it at the council meetings at the time. Now, you can make this as sinister as you want. That's what happened. It was very, very simple. And the fact that you don't like what happened, well, I'm sorry, Councilor, but that's what happened.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. From a personal point of view, this has been going on for 4 months. We had an executive session, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, last December. Every other Tuesday, sometimes every Tuesday, this issue is before us. There's the old cliche, Mr. Mayor, fish or cut bait. If someone has something substantial to bring forward, from what I'm hearing, there's accusations being made that $290,000 was paid to a contractor illegally. The manager and the solicitor, at many different meetings, has indicated this was done through a mediated process. The city is at a stalemate. That's all we discuss, either every Tuesday or sometimes every other Tuesday, is at $290,000 for 4 months. I've seen this happen before with other administrations, and when it does happen, the city gets bogged down. $290,000, the school costs $24,500,000 with all the excavation, earth removal, and so forth. It is the nicest school, Mr. Mayor, as you can attest, that we've ever built. I just wish we'd move on. It's repetitive. Repetitive. Every Tuesday. And personally, it sounds to me it's like the McCarthy hearings in Washington during the 50s. Is it a witch hunt? I don't know how the manager can take it every Tuesday night. I don't know if I could take it. Every single Tuesday night, his head is pounded in. Nobody can stand that punishment. They call it the Chinese torture. It's worse than that. Worse than that. Let's move on. If anyone has anything substantial, please bring it forward so this council and this city can move on. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. Well, as someone who was here and on the subcommittee, the fact is that we didn't know about the settlement when it happened. I mean, that is true. And we were sitting on this issue at length, and it was our understanding that we were reserving our rights against Jackson and against DRA. Now, we've gone over this territory here in this chamber, but it is not surprising that the council's saying what happened, because we weren't told during those months. We were made aware of it again by the auditor at that meeting at the school right around the time the school was opening. That's the reason for the inquiry. Questions were made back then to be provided with the basis for the payment, and we still don't have it. Now, it's as simple as that. It's not a witch hunt. It's just asking for answers. We're not getting into, and I said this at the subcommittee report I gave a few weeks ago. When I sat on the subcommittee, and I'm talking about the last council, last spring and fall, we had a lot of back and forth. The architects came, there was a lot of talk about who had what change orders and so forth. The file is this thick of stuff we were provided all throughout that whole discussion, and who okayed to get rid of it, who didn't. As I said at the subcommittee report I made, you may never get to the bottom of who's right or who's wrong on that. But that isn't the issue that we're asking. We're asking, why do we pay $290,000? For a legitimate purpose. It was paid over and above the cost already paid. There's nothing sinister, there's nothing nefarious about asking these questions. These are legitimate questions. So, and still, on March 28th, we're still waiting for an explanation of what the payments were made on May 27th, 2005. I don't think we're being unreasonable. I don't think it's being, impetuous to say, can we be told why we paid this over and above what we already paid for the 3 classrooms? Especially because subcontractors are out there saying they haven't been paid anything in addition, or were told by Jackson they weren't going to get paid. That's all it's about. And that's what we've been waiting for. Now, Are people getting annoyed because we waited since October for answers? Yeah, and I'm sure it's frustrating, Mr. Mayor. I'm sure it's frustrating for you to deal with this issue, and I'm sure it's frustrating for the law department to be dealing with this issue.
It is.
And you know, but this isn't something that was, I mean, these are questions that we've been sitting on and waiting on. And so that's the whole point. I mean, you know, we were told, and we'll wait for whatever the response is. I know the law department was going to be meeting and give us a report when it's ready. When we get that report, then we'll take it up again. It's as simple as that. But there's no question we weren't provided any information. Now, there may have been a strategic reason to say that we didn't tell you because of this, but it certainly was possible to say because the issue was at the subcommittee level at that point, to come to the subcommittee and say, we'd like to go to executive session to discuss a possible settlement. We do that a lot when things are and it wasn't done. So it's as simple as that. It's not a witch hunt. It's asking for facts to back up in action. And you know, unfortunately, that's part of the job.
I have no problem with that, Counselor, and believe me, I'm as frustrated as you are trying to get the information that people say they want from the bonding company. We met with them last week. But the issue was at the subcommittee level. The subcommittee appropriated and recommended to the full council that, knowing that there was a cost to put those classrooms back, another $1 million. The subcommittee...
That's not when we appropriated the money.
Well, yes, the subcommittee did appropriate $1 million extra.
Yeah, we did, but not to put the 3 classrooms back.
Of course it was. Of course it was.
Okay.
Please go back and look in the newspapers. I have them in my office. I'll be happy to provide them with you. Because a part of the $1 million was what I said at the time, $400,000 to put the classrooms back. That's exactly what happened, Council, and you can go back and look at it. If you recall, we gave documentation to the council. Please let me finish. We gave documentation to the council through DRA, which were Jackson's estimates at that time of $365,000 to the council. You had all that information. Now,
Mr. Manager, I have all the information on this project. Yes, I do.
The entire council has it. We gave it. We furnished everybody. We furnished all members of the council. I don't know what information you have that other councils may not, but we gave the $365,000.
I've sat on the subcommittee throughout this whole project. That's why I have files on this from the time I've sat on the subcommittee.
We furnished whatever information we had at the time, which was from DRA, from Jackson through DRA, $365,000. We furnished that to the subcommittee. We furnished that to the council. I'm quoted in the paper back then saying, I think it's going to be around $400,000 to put those classrooms back. The $1 million was needed because the project was running short. I mean, we're not going to, I don't have to go over this whole thing again, but the project was running short. The council appropriated an additional $1 million. I don't know what the council thought that $1 million was going to be for, except to get the building built, which I was under direct order from the council to do, which we did, albeit 6 weeks late or what have you. But that is what happened. Now, I don't know, I mean, believe me, I am as frustrated as you are in waiting for this information. I want the information so everybody can see it. It was a settlement agreement. There was no agreement because we didn't know what the costs were going to be. Jackson said it was $365. We went to mediation. We went to a real mediator, although I know people say there wasn't a real mediator. The guy's a retired judge. He is a mediator. And came to a settlement agreement. The lawyers on this council certainly should understand a settlement agreement is just that. It's an agreement to get past the differences on a case and get the thing moving. That's what happened. Now, again, please believe me, if I had known back then that me not informing the council, if I had gone into the council at that time and said, it's only costing us $290 as opposed to $400, I think it would have been a standing ovation at the time.
Well,
and I wish I had done that.
I beg to disagree, and only because at the time it was at the subcommittee, Mr. Manager, I have a very clear memory of what happened at the subcommittee. We had a lot of discussion. I was of the opinion, and you are right, we said get it built, we'll sort it out later. We had asked specifically, are we reserving our rights? Yes, we're reserving our rights. Everybody's reserving rights across the board. We'll litigate it later. And that's not the point to litigate it now. My point is that the fact was there was a very strong opinion that we shouldn't pay a dime extra for these classrooms, but we were going to get it built. Never did the council say we're going to pay Jackson more money. Never was that. That may have been a decision. It was never an authorization by the council for these 3 classrooms.
I beg you to go back and look at the actual press
I don't have to look at the press.
Please
I
do,
was
because
on
I
the
think you
sub-
misunderstood, because...
No. I was on the subcommittee, Mr.
I
Manager.
understand that. I don't know why the
I
subcommittee...
don't care what the press wrote.
I don't know why the subcommittee would have put another $1 million on the table if they didn't think it was going to cost more money to
Because
get...
the project was short from the get-go. That's why.
Because the project was what?
Was short from the outset.
Right, but part of it, but the classrooms were gone then. I mean,
not-
please, I'm not going to argue with you about it.
We can disagree, and here's part of the problem. We do disagree on this.
Right, we certainly do.
And we disagree because my recollection was that I understood, as a member of that subcommittee, we were reserving all our rights against Jackson and DRA, and we would sort it out later, we would get the building done, that we were not releasing them. Instead, we paid them more and we released them. Okay, that was a decision. We weren't told about that. You did it on your own.
Right.
But now, all these months later, we still don't have any reason for having paid them. That's the problem.
Okay, and we're trying to get
That's
you that...
the problem.
And we are trying to get
But
you
we
that
should have
information.
had it when we made the check,
But they don't...
when we wrote the check to them.
We should have what?
Should have had the proof when we wrote them a check.
The building was not built then. You
but-
can't, we had estimates. We gave you the estimates that said 365. That's what we were basing our thing on.
We can go on and on.
I understand.
And there's no sense in belaboring the point.
Believe me, I agree with you there.
But I am certainly, looking for whatever we are waiting for all these months and have the same questions. And we'll wait for it. But the suggestion that this is some witch hunt, I think is unfair.
Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I sit here 11 years now, and I think it's incumbent upon this council to ask questions. I certainly have, over the course of 11 years, asked a lot of questions. And when I do, and whoever the manager would be, gives me an explanation that I can understand and it makes sense to me, that's it. That's what I feel. However, I have never in 11 years come across a situation like this. Way back when 3 classrooms disappeared, miraculously, I don't know how it happened, we gave you, Mr. Manager, a directive that said, please do whatever you can to get these classrooms back. We need to open that school. Now, I don't know what's going on as far as who ordered them to disappear or who eliminated them, but they came back. The school is opened as best that you could possibly do with all the delays of the contamination and the cleanup and the windows being ordered separately as compared to bulk quantity, and you did your job. And we asked the questions, what happened? How come you didn't notify us? And you gave us an answer, and I believe that you know that you work for us. I think you know that. You've heard it a number of times. I don't know how many times people have to tell you this. I think you understand that. And I'm not here 5 days a week. I entrusted you to make some decisions without calling me on the phone every week or every day or whatever. I think you notify me personally in a timely manner. Did you call me about this appropriation of $290,000? No, you didn't. I wish you had, but you didn't. I don't want to beat you to death like that old adage, we're beating a dead horse to death. Thank God you're not dead yet, but it's like you're getting beaten every single Tuesday, and it's like the same people are asking the same question 32 different ways. If I see this question again next week, I believe you gave me an answer. You told me, maybe I didn't like the answer, but it made a little bit of sense. I wish you would have told us. I wish you would communicate with me every day, but I'm a busy person too. I don't need to hear from you every day. I think I've given you the directive to make a decision without notifying me every minute. And yeah, $290,000 is a lot, like it says on different blog sites, and different people have different ways of interpreting it. But I'm wondering if this is an underlying motive behind asking this question and getting off on asking, why didn't you do it? Where is the money and where are the answers and da-da-da-da. And gee, I wish a miracle happened that we could know all these answers, but I think you satisfied me to the degree that I know what's going on. I wish that we could just get on with it. Get on with it. I mean, are we getting excited because we've got one over on you, that you did something wrong, and we're going to punish you, Mr. Manager? If there's an underlying motive, let's hear it. I mean, I'm hearing rumors that it's your time to go, Mr. Manager, that you have the votes to get out of here, and I don't know. Is it connected to these motions every single week? I hope the second motion that we hear isn't about that, but be that as it may, I'm just frustrated. Can we move on and get on with it? That's my comment for this particular day.
Okay, Councilor Armin Mercier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. First of all, there's a motion on the floor that's been approved. And the motion is to find out if the manager had the right under the planning form of government to make that payment. And I think we're going to find that under the planning form of government, he had the absolute right to do it. Now, that triggered, however, from Councilor Ramirez, the question again about the 290. Why didn't you tell us early enough? And in fact, those are legitimate inquiries, but I don't know how many times the manager has to say, in hindsight, if I'd have known what I know now, I would have told you. There's nothing suspect here, and I don't like those words. And that was used by one of my colleagues tonight. I'm suspect about this payment. Well, what does that mean? What message does that give? I'm disturbed with those kinds of words, okay? We asked the question legitimately about the $290,000. We've been assured that we're going to get that information as soon as it's able to be obtained from the contractor, through the law department, through the bonding company. These are very complicated matters, and I know that most of the councilors here who've dealt with these in the past know they're complicated and are willing to wait until the information is gathered, because the minute that information is gotten by the manager and the law department, there is no doubt in my mind we're going to get it, because there's nothing to hide here. Okay, so sometimes the inquiries fall under how you ask the question. Okay, I think Councilor Donahue was absolutely clear. She would like to know how this $290,000 came about. She would like to know what was it spent on. The manager has indicated very clearly that as soon as he has that information, we will have it. And I think at one time last week, she indicated that she's waiting for that, and she knows it's going to take a while because of the type of project it is. But to use words like, you work for me, and I'm suspect about this, I think those are bad words. The manager works for the majority of the city council, not for any individual councilor. He doesn't work for me as an individual, because if I wanted something from him, I would have to bring a motion and get 5 votes to get that approved. So I agree with Councilor Rita Mercier. Let's move on. The information is forthcoming. We've been assured it's forthcoming. The law department is working on it. The bonding people are in it. The agreement that was entered into, that was negotiated at some point with a mediator, clearly states that someone else is going to be involved here, that we're not losing our rights to seek remedial against the architect. Let's have it play out, unless there is some strong evidence that this manager has done something wrong. I think we ought to wait for it to play out. And that's all I have to say. And we ought to be careful on how we make statements, about being suspect, meaning there's something wrong here. I think Councilor Donahue, Councilor Elliott has made it clear, and I think we all agree. We need that information. We didn't get it then. The manager apologized for that. He said, mea culpa so many times. I'm glad that he still remembers his Latin. But the fact remains is that information is not here. We will get it in the future, I'm sure. The manager is not hiding anything, and he did nothing wrong, except maybe in hindsight, he should have told us. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Having sat on the subcommittee for almost 2 years now, it is frustrating. But unfortunately, the devil is in the details, and we're trying to make our way through the details. It's a $24.9 million project, and it filled with problems from day one. I can remember going to a meeting on site before one piece of steel was in the ground. There were environmental issues from day one. The project's been plagued with issues since day one. Fine. Maybe it does get boring. Maybe it does get frustrating, but I happen to think we have a responsibility, and if necessary, to hold the manager's feet to the fire, and because the voters hold our feet to the fire. $290,000 is a lot of money. It's a very complicated project, in part because, number one, I don't trust the architect that he was representing our interests very well. I mean, if people are suspect, I mean, there certainly is concern. I also have an issue with Jackson Construction. They haven't been forthright. They haven't lived up to their end of the bargain, in my opinion, since day one. So the subcommittee is trying to get through these issues with the manager, with the law department. We haven't gotten the information on a $290,000 payment. I think we have a responsibility to the people that put us here to ask these questions, and maybe it does get tiresome. Maybe the people at home get sick of watching and hearing the same answers, or different answers, or questions asked in a different way. But we have to get to the bottom of it. And getting the bottom of it has not been easy. We have more information. We just got another report that we asked for from the auditor. There were 68 payments. It's not as if there's been one lump sum payment, okay, there's a mistake here. We still don't know. We're working through bond counsel to get, what did we get for the $290,000? Okay, 3 classrooms? What in the classrooms? I mean, almost to the point where, how many bricks? How many pieces of steel? What did the steel cost? What was the difference between when it was ordered? When was it ordered? I mean, if we don't get that information, we're not going to know. And when we do get that information, we'll be I'll be satisfied anyway. So, looking at this latest report that we just got here, it is complicated. And you know what? It probably won't be the last time that it's discussed on the floor. I know we're not going to just solve this in one more subcommittee meeting. So, I mean, I think we do need patience. Is the manager taking a lot of questions for it? Yeah, he has. And you know what? I hate to say it, Mr. Manager, you're probably going to get a lot more. But we will get through it. We said build the school. We had costs assumed by not opening it on time. I mean, we're still, where are we with litigation and implementing the penalty phase on a, day-by-day basis? So we had these costs that were occurring. We did want to get the thing built. And, I want to know what we got for the $290. And so, I mean, I don't want to belabor the issue, but, we've been meeting for hours in subcommittee. And I think we're getting somewhere. Maybe it's slow, but with a 24 million project, we'll get there. And I don't think anyone wants to spend any more time than necessary on this. But I also don't think that the city's at a standstill. I think that we're moving forward. We certainly have enough subcommittee meetings. We're addressing public safety and zoning and economic development. But we just can't turn our head and say, all right, the 290, we're working with bond counsel, and, we'll get there. We got to stay on it and find out where the money went. That's my opinion.
Councilor, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, believe me, I look forward to the day when the report comes out and people hopefully see what we saw when we settle this thing to move forward. And I think I think you will see it. And believe me, I made it very clear to the bonding company last week that nothing is going to happen until that information is in our possession, as far as funding or anything else that they're looking for. They know it. They understand it. I am tired of this from every single angle you couldn't believe. But I also understand that the information is not complete yet. When it's complete, I think people will. I look forward to that day.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Donahue. Do you have
Thank you. We sat in public safety tonight talking about the need for police officers, and there's not the money. I mean, or there's not the money right now, but $290,000 would hire almost 10 cops. I mean, that's the reality, and that's why it is a big deal. And 2020 hindsight is worth a lot more than, and nobody expects people to be perfect or magicians or anything like that. Well,
I appreciate that, Councilor, because I'm not perfect. I nor have I ever been, and I'm not perfect. And I look in the mirror around the 9 faces here. None of us, thank God, are perfect.
Well, and
so I just try to do the best I could. Thank you for allowing me to maybe have made a mistake in not coming to the council. And believe me, Believe me when I tell you this. If you ever believed anything I've ever said, I wish I had come to the council and told the council about this.
You know, and as I said, and again, you know, the fact is, though, we have a problem there because we have things that aren't done. If we had held the money and say, okay, we'll pay the subs to go back in and fix the lighting and fix the HVAC, but now he's got the money, we got the problems. That's why we're having this discussion. Jackson has the dough. We have subs who won't go back in and do work because they haven't been paid. So, at any rate, we will await the reports.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? That motion is adopted. Next motion is by Councilor Ramirez. The City Council requests the City Manager inform the City Council as to what the city is doing to market and media coverage for the upcoming curling championship at the Songus Arena. Seconded by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Ramirez, and I know Deb Belanger from the Convention and Visitors Bureau has been invited here to bring us up to date, but first, Councilor Ramirez.
Thank you, Mayor Martin, and I certainly won't take too much of the council's time. I understand this motion provided some comic relief for some of my council members. I know that former Mayor Mercier was heard to say, is Ramirez living under a rock? And I'm not sure that I've been living under a rock, but I know the city has done some good work in beautifying the city. I've had a chance to take a look at the centerpiece in front of the arena, and it's certainly appropriate. I know that there's been a plethora of information in the local media, newspaper, radio. I've had an opportunity to talk to Ms. Belanger, and I can't wait to hear from her. She's informed me that she and her agency and Mr. Golden have been very busy on this issue. So this is more an opportunity to compliment the manager and the Civic Conventions Bureau folks and allow them to make a presentation to the folks at home and inform us all and bring us up to date as to what's been going on. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Manager, do you have anything to add? Should we want to call on Ms. Belanger?
I'm going to let Deb Belanger handle this one, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening.
Thanks for being here. This is Deborah Belanger for people in the audience that don't know, who's the Executive Director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I believe also State Representative Golden, who is the President of the Board, is here as well. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're welcome. Mr. Mayor, City Councilors, Mr. Manager. John Cox, Craig Gates, and I first heard about curling in the fall of 2000. Back then, I didn't even know what curling was all about. Now look at us. We can talk about hog lines, we can talk about 8-enders, we can talk about the skip, the hack, the house. If it wasn't for John Cox and the support he pledged to the 5-member committee appointed by the Grand National Curling Club back then, the World Curling Championships wouldn't be taking place in the city of Lowell in the next 3 days. It has been a true partnership spearheaded by this administration and members of this council that has led us to the Worlds. Our delegation, led by former Mayor Rita Mercia, T.J. McCarthy, Matt Coggins, Andy St. Onge, Craig Gates, and myself went to Bismarck, North Dakota in April of 2002. And we brought home the privilege of hosting the World event. No one ever said you could have fun in Bismarck, Dakota. We did, you betcha. Right, Councilor Mercia? We really, really did. Fast forward to 2006. We are ready to showcase the city to the world. We have 12 teams coming to compete. We have members from 39 countries coming to see the Worlds, and we expect to attract 40,000 people to the arena over the 10-day period. At a minimum, we will have 20 hours of European coverage on Eurosport. Most Worlds, they cover 40. 8 hours of Canadian coverage, and a 2-hour special on ESPN2. Not to mention the local stations. The championship will involve 500 volunteers from around the country. We have folks from Minnesota, Nebraska, Utah, Vermont, Wisconsin, Canada, and I saw a couple from Scotland on the list, as well as our local volunteer pool. And we can't forget our Destination Lowell ambassadors. Tommy and I just came back from the Saugus Arena where we had our community volunteer night, and there was a Canadian there from Boston, and he's just here because in Canada, you know, curling is the #1 sport, eh? That's what I said to him. Sorry, little humor there. This event, this event wouldn't be, you got to realize I had about 5 hours sleep last night. It's been a busy week. This event wouldn't be possible without our sponsors, and in particular the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism. If it wasn't for the efforts of John Cox and Tommy Golden and the local delegation, the CVB wouldn't have secured a grant for $100,000 to promote this event. We kicked off our marketing effort in Victoria, British Columbia. Again, our delegation of the same people went, where we had an opportunity to promote and sell Lowell and the 2006 championship to over 100,000 folks who attended that world event. So, you know, keep it in perspective. We're hoping that we get 40,000 people over a 10-day period. They had about 104,000. So curling is actually the #1 sport in Canada. Some believe it's hockey, but I think it's curling. Our marketing plan consists of TV, radio, print, promotions, and the web. I do have, just so you can see, and I'm going to pass these around, just to see the caliber of some of the ads that we've produced. So as I said, it consists of TV, radio, print, promotions, and the web. We've hit every curling club through direct mail promotions, and you have a copy of that direct mail piece in the packet that I left you earlier, and advertised in key curling promotions across the globe. There are over 1 million curlers in Canada, 15,000 in the United States, and close to 25,000 in Europe and Asia. Right now, I'd like to take a minute of the commercial that we have running in Canada, and it's directed to curlers. So if somebody can hit the button.
I hope it does. Yeah, I agree. Wrap it up. I think it answers the motion.
Give it 2 more seconds. We're going to show you the US version.
Suspense is great on this.
So That commercial has played in Canada for probably the last 6 months, and we have received approximately $70,000 worth of TV advertising with that. This commercial started airing on NECN this week and will continue to air through next Thursday to draw more people to the city. In addition, we just shot 2 15-second commercials yesterday that are directed to non-curlers, and if you indulge me, they're really pretty funny. You have a wife that is coming out of the shower, and she has a little towel on her head, and she says to her husband, as she's looking in the medicine cabinet, "Honey, I can't find my curlers." And then she opens up the closet, and there are 3 curlers in the closet with brooms and things like that. So we're doing a little fun with the sport, and hopefully to attract non-curlers. We're doing 70 commercials on Fox News 25 New England, which will be airing this week and next week. So again, that's the TV coverage that we're doing. Then the Olympics took place, and curling fever hit. The PR that we've received has spanned the globe, from the Lowell Sun to the Boston Globe and the Boston Herald to the Cape Cod Times to the New York Times to Oregon County. People read Lowell, Massachusetts is home of the 2006 Men's World Curling Championships. From Torino, Italy on MSNBC, people heard Lowell, Massachusetts is home of the 2006 Men's World Curling Championship. From Channel 5's Mike Dowling to Channel 7's Steve Burton, people know Lowell, Massachusetts is home of the 2006 Men's World Curling Championship. Whether we were putting a display at Logan Airport, Lola, this is Lola at Logan Airport, in one of those 3-dimensional displays coming in from the international terminal. Let me pass that on. Or whether we were creating that beautiful public art piece to create awareness and welcome the world to the $1 million curl that the Lowell Sun did. People know Lowell, Massachusetts is home of the 2000 World Curling Championships. Bottom line, we've received tremendous exposure. We will continue to receive tremendous exposure. We've involved the Lowell Middle Schools with a Learn to Curl program. The Greater Lowell Technical High School actually made the curling stones that we used in the Curl in the Gym program. As you know, the team that won the bronze in the Olympics, the fencing team, will be competing at the Worlds here. They're arriving Wednesday night, and on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock, they will be at the Daily School, and they will talk to the kids that have gone through the Curling in the Gym program. They'll talk to the kids about their Olympic experience and how they can fill their own dreams, and they'll bring their medals and everything else. So we certainly have gotten the community involved with Jerry Beck and the Public Art Project. In addition to the curling stones that the folks at the Greater Lowell Technical High School made, they actually made the stone that we had in the City of Lights parade. So as you can see, our marketing plan is international, it's domestic, it's regional, and it's right in our own backyard. We have also included 3 charities in this event. We have the Kiwanis Club, Kids with Disability, and the Greater Lowell Boys and Girls Club. They will be working this event with their volunteers, and for every ticket that they sell, a donation will be made back to their organization, so the kids are involved, and those organizations will receive some financial support in the end. I have to tell you, this administration has been involved from day one. We're putting the final touches to make our city beautiful. The canals are filled mostly. The one by the high school, I think, still needs a little more water. And the banners are being hung. Mass Highway is also on the job, thanks to TJ McCarthy and Tom Golden. We are ready. Our Destination Lowell ambassadors are prepped and are ready to be the front line for hospitality. Our welcome packages are at the hotels, and in your packet tonight, I gave you a sample of a welcome letter from myself and the Greater Merrimack Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau Visitor Guide, the City of Lowell brochure, our downtown Lowell walking map with promotions from all of the businesses in the downtown area. So these will be given to every team member, every spectator coming to the hotel. Our hospitality desks will be manned beginning Thursday at all of the hotels, at Friday in the Rock Garden Pavilion, and all week long at the Songus Arena. I want to thank the counselors for their support, for being ready to welcome our guests. I want to thank John and his administration. I want to thank Craig Gates and his staff. And last but not least, I want to thank the CVB staff, the CVB board, and Tom Golden, who has headed the CVB for the last year. It's amazing what can be done when everybody works together, and I'm very proud to be part of this team. For the public, the first draw is on Saturday at 9 a.m. The opening ceremonies begin at 12:30 p.m. Good seats are still available by visiting the box office and the Paul E. Songus Arena. I encourage the public to attend. It's going to be a great event. Thank you. And just so you know, before I, this is copies. And feel free to come by my office. Copies of all of the ads. George. only kidding. These are copies of all of the ads that have been placed in all the publications. And believe it or not, these are all the press clippings that we have received on this event. From the very first one in 2001, when it says we were vying for the curling sweepstakes. So it's been a great run, and again, I can't thank the administration and everyone else, because I'm really proud that the City of Lowell is hosting this event. We should all be very proud that we're hosting this international event. Any questions?
First, Mr. Manager, I think you wanted to say something.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I'll be very brief. I just want to thank Deb Belanger and Tommy Golden, CVB staff, Craig Gates, everybody at the arena. This has been a long time in coming, as Debbie has explained, and to be hosting a world event in the City of Lowell. And I don't know how many world events have been hosted here before, none in my memory. I think is quite spectacular, and I think it's been a great effort on everybody's part. And I want to thank the council, too, because the council obviously played a role in this in the very, very beginning. So thank you, Deb, and thanks, Tommy, and to everybody who's helped. We're looking forward to a great 10 days at the Songus Arena. Thank you very much.
Deb, if you could just announce, people in the city want to go, the hours of operation, you talked about the opening ceremonies, but throughout the week, is it during the day, night, both? If you could just give a little information.
Actually, there are 22 opportunities for people to come down to the Songus Arena. A game is called a draw in the sport of curling. So when I reference draw, I mean a game. A draw is usually 2.5 hours. It begins Saturday at 9 a.m. is the first draw, and then the opening ceremonies, which are free, open to the public, but you need a ticket to have access to the arena. You can go down to the box office and pick them up. And we have, that's at 12:30 to 1:30. For the very first time, Ireland is part of the competition. So Ireland will be competing Saturday afternoon at 4. In addition to what's going on inside the arena, we have what we call a Rock Garden Hospitality Pavilion. It's a tent that's right across the street from the Songus Arena that will have food. It will have entertainment continuously throughout the week. There are typically 3 draws a day. On Monday morning, there's a draw at 9 o'clock, so you could have breakfast at the Songus Arena and watch a match. Then the next draw is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the third draw is at 7 at night. For the kids that have participated in the Curl in the Gym program, we are inviting them to come to see a little bit of a draw. Obviously, in school, their time is compact, but we are having them come to the arena and see some of the draw. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's a round-robin format. So then on Friday, There will be a tiebreaker draw if necessary. Saturday is the semifinals, and Sunday is the championship game. So lots of activities. You can go on WCC2006.org to get the schedule of the event.
Deb, I'm sure you know more about curling than you ever thought you would.
Oh, you know what? The Lowell Sun is producing a fan guide, so you can learn all the terminology and be as smart as I am now, with hog lines and skips and hacks and all of that. And it's almost like curling for dummies, so to speak, because it's a strategic game. It's a very strategic game. So they will have that information there for people to watch the game.
Okay, thank you, Deb.
You're welcome.
Thanks for all your efforts, you and the CVB and everybody else who's volunteered. We know that nothing like this occurs without the efforts of many volunteers, so thanks for your efforts, and I'm sure we'll all be seeing you down there. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I think the mayor's indicated, the council wants to thank both of you and all the boards you work on. Tommy, thanks for the state of Massachusetts for your help. And Deb, could you get just back to the microphone just for 1 second? The dollars that are involved with this event, how much is this going to affect the economy, not only in Lowell, but in Greater Lowell?
We anticipate that this event is going to have a $5.1 million economic impact with the number of hotel rooms that we expect to, realize from this event. I think right now we're looking at about 4,000 hotel rooms over a 10-day period of time. There are a lot of curlers. It's a very close-knit community, so they're staying with family and friends, but they'll certainly be spending their dollars here in the city of Lowell. But the TV coverage that we're going to get, to have that amount of coverage, and I heard a figure today that there's probably about 150 media people coming to this event. So people will be writing, in newspapers all over the world. So again, people will know that Lowell, Massachusetts is the home of the 2006, World Curling Championships.
And you will not only just catch your breath, but what is coming up 2 weeks after this event?
Yeah, the Republican Convention.
In Lowell.
In Lowell, yeah, the
Thank
Republican
you,
Convention.
Mr. Manager, thank you for having the leadership and the wisdom to pursue this. It's going to be a great, great thing for the city and the state of Massachusetts. Thank you.
Councilor Rita Mercier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It isn't so much as what's being done to promote this curling event, because we know that those that are responsible enough to do a great job, as you heard this evening. But the question, most importantly, is what can I do to make this event work? Now, I wouldn't go through all this and not volunteer myself, so I am going to take a week off and volunteer and usher the children to the event, and I'll do my part there. So I'm asking the maker of the motion if he would volunteer with me. Deal or no deal? Every day.
No deal.
No deal. Okay.
Councilor Mercier, I will volunteer and work with
Okay,
you.
darling, I knew you would. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Broderick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real brief. Obviously, it's a great event for the city, the state, and I think it should be a big hit. But I also want to thank them for allowing the three local charities to be able to reach out and benefit. I think that's a tremendous opportunity. I'm involved with the Boys and Girls Club, and I know they've been pushing tickets, and I just think it's a great way to help these days to spread the benefit around. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on the motion?
Yeah, move the agenda.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? Motion's approved. Next motion is by Councilor Rita Mercier. City Council requests the city manager provide a report as to the impact residential development has over new business growth, seconded by Councilor Armin Mercier. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This city seems to be growing in residential proportion with new condo units in the downtown and different neighborhoods in the Acre, Pawtucketville, Centerville, Belvedere, all over the city. But what concerns me about all the growth is that a lot of the growth is in business areas. What could be land used for business growth has been taken over by residential growth. So my question through this motion, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager is, what does all this mean in terms of financial values? On the tax rate, we know that the residential property yields $10.07 per thousand, while business property brings in more, which is $19.89 per thousand. Are we offsetting the difference in value by stuffing large numbers of units to make up for the loss with less industry or business? I don't know. That's why I'm asking this motion. Are we forcing our residents to work outside of the city? It's quite a thing if you can just get up and know that your job is down the street or in your city, but it seems like we're overgrowing and we're pushing business and industry out. I don't know, maybe we're not, but that's the appearance that I'm feeling. I say this because more and more of our stores and offices are closing and being replaced by housing units. Is our goal to make this city a bedroom community? I don't know. I'd like a report on the plans to entice business here. Who have we brought in here lately, and what service do they provide? That's
It's a full report, Councilor.
I'm just asking. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Broderick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is an excellent motion, and it kind of leads into my motion, which follows, but, and this is the reason I made a motion a few weeks ago relative to revisiting the Hamilton Canal Plan in the hopes of making it a commercial venture rather than residential, because we do need to bring jobs in, and I think that not getting into my follow-up motion, the motion that I put on, I think that it's an excellent motion, and it's something we really should be concerned about, in that I know Councilor Milanazzo has told me he's going to put that on the next Economic Development Subcommittee meeting to revisit the plan, and I think it's something that we seriously have to consider is, are we pushing all the business out? And my concern is that we need the business here because people shop and eat where they work, and that's it in a nutshell.
If I may briefly, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
on that particular part of the motion, Councilor, we clearly agree with you and what Councilor Mercia said. We're constantly trying to attract businesses, talk to people who have businesses. We're in the midst of a major effort right now to keep a pretty good-sized business in the downtown, and appeared at one point like they were getting ready to leave, and went down and met with them personally, and now it looks like maybe we're going to be able to turn that around, hopefully. So, it's a delicate balance to try to do the residential thing, and to have that happen and to have that be successful, because that obviously is key to the restaurants and the shops and the things that we want to have downtown. And yet at the same time, try to maintain a balance with industry and manufacturing is very, very difficult at this point in New England, not just Lowell, but in New England. We clearly are trying to, whether it be work with UMass Lowell on some things, and then some businesses that come out of there, and but I totally agree with what both of you said, and we'll get you a full report, but we are trying to do that.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? That motion's adopted. Next motion is by Councilor Broderick. City Council requests the city manager have DPD and O'Sullivan Communications develop a marketing strategy for commercial recruitment as part of an expanded marketing campaign. Seconded by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a marketing subcommittee meeting a few weeks ago, and we had, I guess, made a recommendation to bring in the private partnership people that we want to involve in the community, basically anyone that's willing to participate. But in further thought, I was considering the fact that maybe we ought to get together through the administration and come up with a plan, because to get 10, 20, or 2 people in a room and not know what we're going to ask them, or they're going to ask us, what are you looking to do? I think we need to have a focus, and I know the DPD talked about what we do now and what an expanded campaign may look like, but my particular feeling is if we're going to do an expanded campaign, we should have a real strong focus on the commercial, and particularly, again, this is just my feeling, to go out and get that anchor corporation, hopefully, if it's doable. I don't know. But I think everything else that we've all got together and tried to do, we've been successful at. So I think that if we all, teamwork here, get everybody involved, on board with the same idea, hopefully, that we go out and get this corporate anchor to come in and and build it out and hopefully bring in bring in some business. And I think it's something we can do. I'd like to see from the administration through DPD and O'Sullivan Communications, who currently has the contract, what ideas they may have, and prior to meeting with anybody in the private sector to basically ask for participation.
We ought to hire Debbie Belanger.
Okay. Anyone else on the motion? All those in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion's adopted. Next motion is by Councilor Caulfield. Thank the city manager and administration, DPW, Parks and Rec, Convention and Visitors Bureau, Jerry Beck from the Revolving Museum for beautifying the city for the World Curling Championship, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercia. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In and around March 1st or so, the street sweeper went by my home, and I said, gee, I didn't even call anyone. And we also seen street sweepers throughout the city, cleaning the city, and then the Parks and Recreation putting mulch in all the parks. And Mr. Manager, the city is as nice and as good as you can get it. And as you indicated earlier, this is a world event. And many countries will be visiting our city. And as Councilor Broderick indicated, and many have indicated, if we work as a team, there's not much we can't accomplish. And we heard from Deb Belanger and the Convention and Visitors Bureau, but Jerry Beck from the Revolving Museum, absolutely incredible what he did at the Songus Arena with that piece of artwork. People are going to visit our city, and it will be a lasting impression. They will come back. They will come back because of the efforts of the DPW, Parks and Recreation, Jerry Beck, CBB, and your administration, Mr. Manager. And I think the council owes you a debt of gratitude. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? Motion's adopted. The last motion by Councilor Elliott. The City Council requests the City Manager have the Board of Assessors place an assessment of $18 to $20 million, the estimated value on the Lechulis property in the Hamilton Canal District. Seconded by Councilor Donahue. Councilor Elliott.
Manager seconded. Well, I happen to be reading over this letter. It'll solve solved a lot of problems, but I happen to be reading the letter from Mr. Lechulis's attorney again, only to really get a better understanding exactly how he was getting to this point. And it occurred to me, well, if Mr. Lechulis thinks his property is worth 18 to 20 million, then he should be assessed accordingly. And I don't know if that's possible or not, but I did go to look at the parcel locations and the description that he's referring to, and that we're looking to include as part of the Hamilton Canal District, and the total assessment is $2,382,300. So maybe 18 to 20 million. I didn't think it was reasonable to begin with, but maybe we need to take a second look to see exactly, what it is valued at. I know it's sort of a double-edged sword, but Mr. Lechulis is, saying his property is worth a lot more than maybe if he saw his tax bill, maybe he wouldn't think it was worth that much, and that might help our case with the eminent domain taking. So that's really the motion. Really take a second look at it and see where we go from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Donahue?
Thank you. Well, it could solve a lot of financial problems around here if he says it's worth that. I'd be interested to know, in connection with this motion, whether Mr. Lechulis has applied for abatements in the past 10 years on this property. I think he has. And what he's come in and so in our preparation, I'd be very interested if we can get that information from the Assessors Department as well, because, he can't have it both ways, and so I'm interested to know when he came in and what he was trying to tell the city his property is worth when he's come in for abatements. And maybe it was a different property, but I believe these properties he's tried to get abatements on. So if we can get that report too.
Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the difficulty here with this is that it's taxed based on use versus what the what his attorneys are putting forth is the best possible use or potential use. And I don't know if he's filed for abatements. I don't know why he would. He hasn't paid his taxes anyway, but I guess it doesn't hurt to check. Thank you.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
I think it's a good effort to push him a little bit harder here, but you got to remember that the 18 to 20 million included the damage to the remainder property, which has a value, so that if we take one piece of property, it has an effect on some other piece of property, and that's all factored in there. It's a number that's thrown out. It's a totally ridiculous number. But at the same time, if that's what he thinks it's worth, then I think it's a good idea to have our assessors concur with that and have our
I'm not
assessors.
quite sure it's that simple, but...
Yeah, I know it isn't. I'd hate to see Suleiman on the stand saying, yeah, it is worth 18 million.
Councilor Elliott.
No, I agree, but, it is going to make us think and make him think that, you know what, we're serious about this, and he should be too. But could we also get as part of the report, I understand that there's a significant amount of fines that have not been paid by Mr. Luchulis, and that doesn't even reference what Council Broderick was talking about, his delinquency over the last 20 years and his taxes. But the historic fines for him not maintaining those properties, I understand it's upward to a couple of $2 million, and I think that's significant, and in our case as we proceed in these eminent domain takings. I don't know, the solicitor, do you have an update on that? Or is
My recollection is, I think it's around 200,000, something like that, in uncollected fines from the historic board.
Okay, can we get a report as to what the, because I know that there were, at one point in time, there were, fire issues, and, did he pay those costs? And
there were fire watches. I believe the fire watches were paid. And having dealt with the tax issue for quite some time, that went also through various stages where he became somewhat current, I think, or current, and then unfortunately fell back again. And so it was an ongoing battle, but it's one that I had been working on for quite some time, in various aspects. But as far as the historic fines go, we can get you an exact number on that. And that's something certainly that we were going to take a look at and consider in terms of the actual taking.
Okay, thank you.
Because that's sitting out there.
Okay. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you. Before we do anything through the assessor's office, I would recommend we talk to the solicitor as far as any type of reassessment. Is that going to be admission? I would suggest maybe we let it go.
It's a...
for now, and
You may notice, Council, I have not said anything.
yeah, I think that I was poking some fun at some of the delinquencies, but I think that we have to be careful if we're going to litigate this. And I had a discussion with Madam Solicitor today relative to some research she's doing and going to provide us relative to expert counsel. And that's what made me think of it, is that I think we need to be careful as far as what we do decide on this, and I appreciate your input today as far as the expert counsel.
Right, as Councilor Donahue had suggested, typically what we're looking at is the law department is quick to look to see whether somebody has filed for abatements, and usually not necessarily arguing that we go up on our own assessments, although I applaud the spirit behind things.
Okay, before we adjourn, the clerk had one item to address concerning subcommittee notices and televised
With
meetings.
respect to subcommittee notices, I know Councilor Rita Mercia earlier mentioned that the Public Safety Subcommittee, and I do want to say this for the record, that the chairperson of that committee, when they called in the meeting, did indicate what the subject matter is. However, in the absence of the person who normally prepares those, I prepared it myself and inadvertently left off the subject matter. But secondly, as a side note, TJ, myself, and LTC are working together to get television coverage for your subcommittee meetings, and I ask for the councilors to be patient. There are a number of issues that we have to work through in order to make that come to fruition, so we're working to that end. So again, I apologize.
And also with respect to subcommittee meetings, I have started to get complaints both from the public and others here in City Hall about subcommittee meetings running into the time of this meeting. We've had several meetings start late. So the subcommittee meetings that do meet on Tuesday, we should try and hold, to promptly end at 6:25 so that we can start this meeting on time. Okay. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Ramirez, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.